Mr. President, breaking news. The burglars just got caught.
We can't have any connection to them. This conversation never happened.
Following the conviction of the burglars, after one of the men tipped off the judge that the criminals were paid off, a Senate Select Committee began an investigation, and it became clear that top members of the Nixon administration were involved in a cover-up of the break-in and several other illegal actions. It was also discovered that Nixon had installed a taping system that automatically recorded all of his conversations with his advisors. A special prosecutor appointed to investigate the Watergate scandal wanted the tapes.
The district court ruled that the tapes needed to be released immediately. The president released certain edited versions of the tapes to the public, but refused to yield the full transcripts to the district court. There were special petitions filed to have the issue heard immediately by the U.S. Supreme Court.
So the question that the court now had to answer was, is the president's right to safeguard certain information using his executive privilege confidentiality power entirely immune from judicial review?
The prosecutors believe that the president is not above the law and he is subject to all judicial orders. Executive privilege does not provide the president with all discretion to withhold particular evidence. Executive privilege cannot be used to withhold evidence in a case where there is overwhelming evidence that it relates to a crime.
I am the president. The separation of powers prevents the judicial branch from interfering with the powers of the executive and legislative branches. The separation of powers doctrine prohibits judicial review of my claim of executive privilege. Confidentiality is essential to executive decision-making. Because the judicial and executive branch are separate, each with its own functions, the judicial branch should not be allowed to interfere with the functioning of the executive branch. In a unanimous 8-0 decision, the court rules that presidents do enjoy a constitutionally protected executive privilege, but that the privilege was not absolute. The court decided that in this case, the president's interest in keeping his communications secret was outweighed by the interests of the judiciary in providing a fair trial with full factual disclosure.
Decision of the court. Chief Justice Warren Burger delivered the opinion of the court, saying that, quote, the impediment that an absolute unqualified executive privilege would place in the way of the primary constitutional duty of the judicial branch to do justice in criminal prosecutions would plainly conflict with the function of the courts under Article 3, end quote.
While the outcome of the case was unfavorable to President Nixon, U.S. v. Nixon expanded the power of the presidency. This was the first time the Supreme Court acknowledged that an executive privilege exists. The decision thus resolved decades of controversy over the constitutionality of that privilege. The president is now responsible for going to the Supreme Court if necessary also.